Welcome back to the Full Force Fathers podcast. It is December, Dave. We are getting slowly but surely inching closer to a great holiday. Christmas is just a few short weeks away. What's going on, man?
Yeah, not too much. It is, like you said, officially December. I can get behind the Christmas bandwagon now. Full force with Christmas. We got, lights and Christmas carols, and it's the holiday season. So I'm okay with it now that we're out of November.
Every radio station, if you listen to the radio now, they always throw in there's Christmas only radio stations out there, but I mean even the standard radio station now, they're still mixing in Christmas music. So before we get going, Dave, where are you today?
I'm in my living room. As you can see, the hutches here are empty now. I'm going downhill this way. I know I am. I tried my best. I don't have a solution for that right now. I'm on a folding table that's not the strongest folding table. So here we are. I've got boxes to my right, boxes to my left. My life's in shambles right now, but here we are doing episode number 39.
It looks like, for those of you that aren't watching on YouTube, it looks like he's in the rainforest. He's got some jungle plants behind him.
I got a plant. I'm sitting on a metal folding chair. My times have changed for me.
Listen, guys, as you know, there's been a lot of chaos in our lives lately, and with the move going for Dave and everything, hey, we're doing what we can. We're still putting out content every week. Whether he's sitting in a freaking bathroom somewhere, we're putting out a podcast for you guys. So we're so glad you're here for episode 39. It is the holiday season. I didn't wear my Christmas hat today, but for sure next week I will have a Santa hat on my head. But just to piss Dave off, Scrooge over here, the Grinch, with my Christmas hat. But yeah, so episode 39, we have a Bible verse right now I'm jumping into, and then we're going to jump into all sorts of fun today. First off, the Bible comes from 1 Timothy today. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 11. But you, man of God, flee from all this and pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, endurance, and gentleness. And if that doesn't ring true to exactly what we do here at Full Force Fathers, I don't know if there's a better Bible verse that speaks of our principles, our core values, right? We're pursuing righteousness. We're pursuing godliness. We're pursuing faith, love, endurance, right? Gentleness. That just hits so close to home as what we are doing here with Full Force Fathers. I mean, endurance, you want to tie it in to fitness, faith. We have the word faith in Full Force Fathers, right? You name it. Righteousness. We're doing right by God. We're moving forward. We're being great dads. But that verse from 1 Timothy just, man, does it hit home to me, Dave, of exactly what we're doing, why we started Full Force Fathers.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And really, this probably should have been the Bible verse on episode 1. I mean, it does. It speaks exactly to what we're doing. So good choice for today.
Yeah, it's a good one. And for those of you that don't read the Bible, I always recommend a longtime friend of mine, preacher, who listens to the show. He told me start with John. And now the Bible, not to go too much into the Bible, you have the Old Testament, you have the New Testament, the Old Testament, you have the book of Genesis starts the whole thing. But really the back half of the Bible is a great place to look, because you get into books like this, Timothy, right? 1 Timothy, it's only a few pages. So instead of worrying about opening Genesis and reading 1,000 chapters and 1,000 pages, as you know, the fine print in the Bible is so small, open up John, open up Matthew or Luke, or even 1 Timothy, 1 John, because you get so much knowledge from the Bible in very short amount of pages, short amount of words. And it's like this from 1 Timothy. Pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, endurance, gentleness. It's words that you understand. A lot of stuff written in the Old Testament, and depending on which version you read, whether it's King James or New International Version, you get a lot of, Hebrew and words that you're like, ugh, I don't understand this. So just a little pointer there. If you start from the back of the Bible and then go back to the front, depending on where you are in your faith and where you want to be and what you want to know, creation of the world and all that stuff, start early in the front. Other things, maybe a little bit more layman's terms type of stuff in the back. So just a little pointer there, Dave, on the Bible for those that are just starting on it or have been reading it. You get verses like this in Timothy that's just like reading clear English,
Mm-hmm.
So, Dave, what do we got for famous number 39s? If this was a tournament, this would not be a number 1 seed or a 2 seed or even a 10 seed. This would be the 16. This may be the play-in game.
It might. Yeah, you're right. It might be a playing game for a 16, not a playing game for a
8-9.
For a 9, 8-9.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, that's one of the worst things the NCAA tournament ever did. If you're an 8 or a 9, if you're an 8 or a 9, you should not have to have a playing game to be an 8 or a 9.
Agreed. Completely agree. That could be a whole conversation in the NCAA tournament. That'll be a March conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
all right, what do we got?
So, famous number 39s. This was really tough. I think that the most prominent, that most people recognize, Larry Zonka.
Larry Zonka,
Miami
baby,
Dolphins, fullback, right? It was fullback,
and he was on the 72 Dolphins. The only hard to believe, the only undefeated team in NFL history, still the 72 Dolphins. Yep. Larry Zonka, he's very well known. He got into some acting. He did some commercials. I mean, you could argue he's the most well known outside of head coach, maybe Shula, of all the 72 Dolphins, maybe him.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think you're probably right there. After Zonka, it took a drastic drop off for me. I found one in the NBA that people might recognize, and that's Greg Ostertag. And you might remember him. He was 00 for most of his career. Mm-hmm. But he switched over to 39 for 2 seasons so somebody else could come in and wear 00 on his team. And once that person left, they gave him back 00. So I don't even know if we can really – but it's the best. This is the best we could find. And then Dave Parker, who played a lot of years in Major League Baseball, I think most prominently for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't know if your dad might have thrown against them back in the day. I don't know. But he was the main baseball player that I could find that had, probably the best career. He's not in the Hall of Fame. But he was a multi-time All-Star. He was an MVP.
Wait, he's a multiple-time All-Star and an MVP, and he's not in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, and he did not make the Hall. He is not in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I'll have to ask my dad about him. I don't know. The name I saw the name, but I didn't really ring a bell. And back to Greg Ostertag for a second.
Kansas, right? Kansas.
You can't just go sweeping over Greg Ostertag. Big country farm boy. Dude, he had the military cut. Which and it was literally squared off in the front. It was the military cut squared off, and I'm pretty. Did he play? He played for the Jazz, didn't he?
I think it was. The Jazz.
And when he played for the Jazz, he had those awful Utah Jazz uniforms, the worst ones ever created, that were the multicolored with the purple and the brown mountains and all that stuff. That's when he played for the Jazz. I mean, it doesn't get much worse than that.
No, it doesn't. But yeah, I mean, so hey, that's my 3. Now you went and dug a little bit deeper to find some, so maybe you can help bring the list up a little bit.
Well, I didn't have to dig too deep, and seeing how the World Cup, we're still in full swing with the World Cup. We have Scott McTominay. He actually is he's a footballer. He's a good footballer for the Manchester United current. And in a couple of the rankings, he may end up being the best 39 of all time by the time his career's over. He's young, but he's young and talented. He plays for one of the biggest clubs, probably the most valuable club outside of Real Madrid or Barcelona in the world. I just saw a couple weeks ago that the Glazers are thinking about putting Manchester United on the market for $7 billion. There's not even an NFL franchise in this country, the land of great riches, capitalism. There's not a franchise in the United States that's worth $7 billion. But you're talking about a little tiny town in Manchester, because that's where people get so mixed up. Soccer, football is such a global sport. That's why these clubs, these soccer players make more than any other athletes. And then you have these clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid, Manchester United, Manchester City. These clubs are worth $7 billion. So if United's worth $7 billion, what the hell is Real Madrid worth? 10 billion? Yeah. Barcelona, something like that. I mean, I can't even fathom a franchise being that much. I mean, look at they just paid way too much money for the Denver Broncos, the owners of Walmart, not that long ago, and they made a terrible decision with Russell Wilson. But that's neither here nor there. But I mean, we're talking, $7 billion the Glazers want. And if you don't know who the Glazers are, the Glazer family also owns the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so they have the money. I don't think the English crowd likes the American owners all that much. They get a lot of pushback over there for those that don't follow soccer. But Scott McTominay, number 39. And then probably in one of those lists that I was looking up, there's a guy by the name of Nicholas Anelka who played back in the day. Nobody listening to this podcast, unless you're listening from England, knows who Nicholas Anelka is. But he's a famous number 39, great forward, played for Chelsea and West Brom and Bolton and Manchester City. So I had to go keep the World Cup theme going and throw a couple footballers in there, soccer players for our American listeners, and two pretty good ones. So That's what we got overall, Dave. I mean, Larry Zonka is a good number 39. Like, he's a strong candidate for leading the line, but like, even kind of like last week with 38, you had Schilling, a dominant 38, but you just didn't have anything. The bench wasn't very deep. Let's put it that way.
That was a thin bench. Yeah.
I mean, if you were talking to, like, is it a basketball analogy? It was like the star of the team and nobody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
no doubt.
But anyway, so Dave, let's transition here. We're in December now, right? We're just, we're not far into December, but we're a week into December now, and Christmas is, a couple weeks, a little more than 2 weeks away, in between 2 and 3 weeks. Okay. We knew this show was coming, and this is really your wheelhouse, so I'm going to let you run with it. I'll just get in and out when I need be, or questions with you. But as we do with a lot of things, we talk about budgets a lot, Dave. Budgets are a huge part, and just your generic monthly budget is a big part of your life. If you don't know where your money's going, then you're pretty much, you're not going to drive down the road and throw a $100 bill out the window, But if people that don't manage their money and you don't budget, everyone's scared of that word budget. You run into issues. So I want you today to really take the crux of the show today, and just let's talk about budgeting for the holidays, because now we are very close. We just got off a holiday, and now we're going into another major holiday with New Year's right after. Like, how? I'll let you dive in, but let's talk budgeting, but holiday budgeting. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, and we touched on this a couple months ago. So those who've been listening every week, you've probably heard some of this, and I hope you're doing some of that. So as you start looking forward to the holidays, there's things that are coming. They're not emergencies, right? We talked about this last week on the show with credit cards. It's not an emergency. Holidays come at the same time every single year, so we've got to plan for them. What you should be doing is you should be planning for them for the entire year, so that by the time December rolls around, you're not scrambling trying to figure out what you can do to get the money together to pay for the holidays, whether that be on a credit card, or you've got to go pick up extra hours at work, or maybe you're relying on a Christmas bonus that might not be coming anymore. Those types of things. So it's really something that you need to start doing now for next year, right? But if you're not there yet and you're hearing us for the first time, you're hearing this word budget for the first time, and what is all this stuff that we're talking about? There's a lot of things that you can do, because we are in early December. We're just in the beginning. So you've got time. Christmas is still a few weeks away, and you've got time to plan. So first thing you got to decide is, who are you buying gifts for, right? It's that time of the year. Give. We want to give gifts to different people in our family, maybe some friends, some coworkers. We've got teachers at school. We've got bus drivers. We've got garbage men. We got all post office workers, all these different people that we feel we need to give something to. And maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. Maybe you need to take a deep look inside to see who you really want to give something to. So the first thing to do is make a list, right? Who do you want to buy gifts for?
Check it twice.
Got that list. Check it twice. That's right. Who's been naughty? Who's been nice? Maybe somebody, I can just go outside and pick some rocks out of the desert and throw some in a box. So you got that, right? Then you got to decide, am I hosting? Well, if you're hosting, you got a whole nother budget you got to work with, because now it's not, hosting a holiday is not cheap. It's not inexpensive, especially with food prices now. So you got to kind of take a calculated look at exactly what you have going on. And that's kind of the starting spot. You agree with that?
Oh, for sure. And I want you to keep going with that. There's just something that's just, I wanted to cut you off, but I didn't. So I'm going to bring it up now. You said the word Christmas bonus, and all I think about is Clark Griswold, because
I'm putting in a swimming pool.
He's banking on the bonus, like you said. If you're banking on bonus, right? The whole point of that movie, if you think about it, he was waiting on the Christmas bonus so he could surprise his family that he's putting his swimming pool, and then it's the Jelly of the Month Club, and that's neither here nor there. But it was all about not having a budget for the pool. He was waiting on the bonus for it.
And he was losing his mind. His stress level was so high. That was causing some of the anxiety, some of the things, the frustration. He was taking it out on his family, right? Because he didn't have the money. He didn't have the money to do the pool. He wrote a check, didn't have the money to cover it. So that, it's funny. It's interesting that you brought that up, and I'm so glad you did, because it's even like this stuff is tied into these movies that, we've watched Christmas Vacation. How many times have you watched it? I've probably watched it 150, 200 times in my life.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So it's one of those things we just don't even recognize it, but that is true. He big, what is it called? I think in Texas, big hat, no cattle. He signed the check, didn't have what he needed to pay for it. So it is. It's about the budget. So once you get that list together, once you know what your expenses are, now you've got to decide, okay, How much do I want to spend on the holiday meal? That's one thing. That's a totally different budget, but it's there. And you say, all right, now I put down this list of 25 people that I want to buy gifts for. Well, how much money do I have to buy these gifts? And if you listened to us last week, you heard us say you're cutting up the credit cards. It's not an emergency, so you're not using it for Christmas. Now, if you didn't, that's your cue. We're cutting up the credit cards. We're not using them for Christmas because it's not an emergency. So you've got a few weeks to put the money aside in your budget and plan for Christmas. So you got to look. You say, all right, how much money do I have? I got $500 for Christmas for all these people. This is what I want to do. Well, now you got to divide it out. You got to say, all right, line by line. This person, all right, I can do a $50 gift for this person, 25 here. My kids, this much, until you're out of money. Now, when you're out of money, you either got to cut people from the list. Maybe they don't make the cut. Maybe they don't need a gift this year. Maybe you call, have that conversation. Hey, Brett, things are tight this year. Inflation's high. Why don't we just skip the Christmas gifts? Why don't we just FaceTime for a while during the day, kind of sharing the holiday together? But you know what? Let's not send gifts back and forth because that can be expensive. So you might have to cut the list. You might have to change the amounts. But ultimately, your zero-based budgeting, just like you do your monthly budget, every single month, zero-based budget, you start with as many dollars as you have coming in. You assign them all to a different category in your budget until you have $0 left. You do the exact same thing with your Christmas budget. And you don't put it on a card. You take the money out of the bank, you put it in envelopes, you say, all right, this is Brett's envelope, this is Dave's envelope, this is Kendall, Bryce, Caroline, Madison, Finley, like boom, 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 boom. You got your envelopes, and then you go to the store and you buy your gifts. And when you're out, and you don't rely on a card to do that because it's very easy to say, okay, well, I was going to spend $25 on Brett this Christmas. This gift's only $30. I'll just get him this one. Well, now you're $5 over. If you do that on 10 people, you're $50 over your budget, and it's probably gonna be more than $5. So, at the end of the day, that's how you kind of got to hone in that. But you got to know what you have and who you want to buy gifts for, or who you want to donate to, or all those different things. Maybe you want to make a donation to the church or to the food pantry or to the veterans, whoever it may be. You've got to. All of that has to go into the budget. It's a separate budget for the holidays.
Absolutely, and everything you said there is so true. Listen, that kind of ties in, like you said. You make a list: who's getting gifts, who's not getting gifts, and I put some notes in here. And like the first thing, let's just piggyback off of that. What you said. All right, Brett, Andy, Casey, Dave, the kids. Your cousin, your aunt, your best friends, cousins, friends, sisters, second cousin from twice removed. Right? That's what everybody does. Let me tell you something. This is I don't know if I'm going to make anyone mad. I don't know if it's very controversial. Adults don't need presents. That's a blanket statement, right? Mm-hmm. I don't need to buy Dave anything. Dave doesn't need to buy me anything. I don't need to buy Casey something. He doesn't need to buy Andy something. I don't need to buy, maybe I'm frugal. Dave knows how cheap I am. My sister is 44, 3. I don't need to buy my sister something. Okay, she's an adult. I don't expect her to buy me something. Now, my nephews, if it's in the budget, then my nephews who are 10 and 12, okay, you get them a present. But listen, I don't expect I'm very cheap. I don't expect anyone to buy me presents. Nobody. I don't expect anyone to buy obviously my parents get my kids something, my sister gets my kid, but I don't even expect that. My girls do not go into Christmas with an expectation that they're just going to be getting all sorts of presents from all these other places. But let me tell you, blanket statement, Dave, and tell me if you think I'm stepping out of line here. Adults don't need Christmas presents.
No, you're not stepping out of line. And here's one more thing too, right? We get into this. I've heard Casey say it before. We're looking at gifts, and she's like, "Well, so and so buys for the kids, so we have to buy for them."
Yeah,
that's not the case. You don't have to do that. Christmas is the season of giving. Okay, and if someone wants to give a gift to one of your kids, that is their choice. Now, if they give a gift to your kids and you don't buy a gift for theirs, if the next year they decide that they don't want to buy a gift for your kids, that's their choice. But maybe they will. Maybe they have the extra money and they don't mind spending it, and that's fine because it is the season of giving. It's each person's choice on what they want to do. And you don't have to have the conversation with people like, "Hey, I don't have the money this year to do this." You just, you just say to everybody, "You know what? This year we're focusing on our family. I'm sorry. This is what we're doing. This is kind of the new way we're going about things. We want to donate our money here instead of buying gifts for everybody. We want to make a better donation to something that somebody really needs versus, buying gifts for 15 people in your family that you don't even see."
And you don't need to, and no explanations needed. And that's the thing. If you feel the need that you need to explain that to somebody, then that person for surely doesn't need to be on the list getting you gifts or you giving them gifts. If you'd say, hey, listen, budget's tight this year, we're just not doing presents. The people that understand it. The people that don't understand that, there's no room for that. There's no room for that. Absolutely. It's the end of the story. And you were going to go somewhere. I don't want to cut you off.
No, I completely agree. Like if you're at a point where you're giving gifts to people that are that close to you, like they would understand. Like if you didn't give them a gift for the year, like okay, like you could have that. If it's some a coworker that you always give a gift, you don't need to have that conversation. It's not important. Just don't give the gift.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not doing gifts this year. Why? Because I don't want to.
And it's so funny because Christmas is Jesus' birthday. Like this whole, everything gets blown way out of proportion, and it's all about gifts and this. It's needs, materialistic. Holidays have become so material based. It's insane, and that's not even what it's about. That's really not what it's about. So you're really going to get a gift to someone you talk to twice a year because it's Christmas? Like, give me a fucking break. Sorry, no, thank you. Yep. And that's what it is. And the other thing. If you do give gifts, like let's say to nephews or to, nieces or grandparents, give them to grandkids, whatever the case may be. If you end up having gifts and you're on a budget, here's a life hack. A few years back when Andine and I were in, we had a lot of credit card debt. It was a tight Christmas. We went to the dollar store. And now if you really are tight, this is just, I'm not saying everyone's going to go to a dollar store, but if you go to the dollar store, because once again, kids don't really care about the present. They care about just opening something. That's really what they care about because like we said last week, I'm pretty sure kids, this shit's forgotten about within sometimes minutes, but usually within weeks, the toy's gone. It's broken. Mm-hmm. The batteries are dead. It's under a bed somewhere. It's shoved in a closet. The dog got a hold of it, whatever. Yeah. If you really are sticking to a budget, then stick to a budget. If you think, hey, I only got $500 for Christmas presents this year, well, maybe going to Target or Kohl's or whatever isn't the right place to do it. Maybe you can still get some of your gifts there, Bed Bath & Beyond or whatever. I don't even know if the place exists. But especially little kids, that's a tip. Go to the dollar store because you can get them squirt guns and stickers and paint and knockoff GI Joes and knockoff Lego sets and bouncy balls and shit. You could go into the dollar store. You could literally for $20 plus tax have 20 presents for someone to open. Yeah. By just going to the dollar store. Now, let me tell you something. I was a kid once. I'm still a big kid. I'd rather open 20 small presents than one present. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Yeah. If the tree looks cooler when there's 80 presents under it versus 3. But I grew up in a family where you got one present. That's it. It was it was a fishing pole, a gun, a new pair of freaking baseball cleats or some shit like that. Like, that's how I grew up. It was always one big present. Yeah, we had stocking stuffers, which is your normal bullshit, your soap, your deodorant, your toothpaste, candy, gum. But, dude, my dad, one present, whatever you want. Tell me what it is. That's all you get. In one year, he pulled a prank on me. I wanted a gun. I wanted a new rifle so bad. I think I was like 10. My dad was buying me a rifle. And he goes, okay, so we open up our stockings and stuff, right? And that no gun under the tree. My brother got whatever the hell he asked for, my sister. I'm like, the fuck? No gun? I just got some stocking stuffers. And sure enough, he literally played it off real well. I'll never forget. I probably should save this for the Christmas episode, but I'm already going with it. He literally hid the gun in a box wrapped behind the closet door. And he said, hey, Brett, can you go over to the closet and grab that thing for me? And I said, hey, Dad, what's this present? He goes, oh, it's yours. I forgot about it. He goes to me, and I open it. It's almost like the Red awesome. It's almost like the Red Ryder BB gun story,
just
right?
What it's like, yeah.
And that's what my dad did. Who knows? Maybe he stole it from A Christmas Story. We were young, you know what I mean? That movie's so old.
That's funny.
Yeah, but that's the thing, man. We were always grew up with one present, but if you can get 20 presents for the price of one, shit. Yeah. I promise your kids are gonna be happy. And then if it breaks, you ain't gonna feel as bad.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's the side on the gifts. We got the holiday meal. If you're hosting, you can start buying stuff now. You could have started buying stuff weeks ago. And that's what we touched on at the beginning of the holiday season, is start staggering your purchases at the store. Things that don't go bad that can just go into the pantry. Buy them now. If you know what, if prime ribs, what you eat on Christmas, or turkey, it's on sale right now after Thanksgiving, or maybe the prime rib comes on sale in the next couple of weeks. You can buy it now, pay the sale price, throw it in the freezer. It's going to be perfectly fine by the time Christmas comes around, okay? So take advantage of the sales. Take advantage of the things that you can buy now, so you don't just stack it all up and then the week of Christmas, you've got a $400 grocery bill to buy all the stuff that you need. And that'll make a big difference when you can stagger it, because then you don't feel that hurt as much right when it finally comes. And if you are hosting, have people bring stuff. You don't have to do the whole meal. Have somebody bring appetizers. Have somebody bring a side dish, dessert. You don't have to do it all. Yeah. So those are things that you can work the budget on the food side. And one thing too, like if you give people a lot, like if you like to give gifts at the holidays, you know what? Maybe you're a good baker. Bake some cookies. Make some homemade cookies. That can be relatively inexpensive. I mean, depending on what you use, sometimes it can be expensive to bake, but most of the time it's not. You can do it inexpensively. Make cookie platters for people and pass those out as gifts. People love that stuff. They got something to have with their coffee in the morning or whatever, or at home for dessert. Some people are terrible at baking. So if you have that talent, do that for somebody. Do that for your coworkers or those people that you normally get gifts for that maybe you don't want to spend extra money on this year. And that goes a long way because it's homemade. You're thought of them. So that's an idea too.
That's exactly what it sounds like. I'm talking to my father-in-law right now, because that's what Andine does for her father. She bakes him cookies for his birthday, for Christmas. When she's got the oven going and she's making a bunch of cookies for Christmas, she'll bake her dad 4 or 5 dozen, chocolate chip cookies, and he likes nuts in his cookies, almonds or whatever, peanuts or whatever. And that's what she gives. She literally wraps them up, and her dad knows that present's coming every single year. Andine wraps them up, and then he goes home and he puts them in his freezer. And that gift gives him cookies for 3-4 months. He'll have one in the morning with his coffee, twice or 2 or 3 times a week. And that, it's if that's one thing Andine's good at, she can bake. That's a great idea. And that's what she does.
Yeah.
The other thing that you said there, you stagger it. So whether you're talking about the dinner or you're talking about Christmas in general, if you stagger it, it's not as hurtful on the wallet. I have a bank question for you. Remind me when I'm done with this. But Andine my wife's notoriously good for that, throughout the year. If she sees something on sale or she sees something that's going to fit Madison or Caroline or Finley in 6 months from now or 8 months from now, and she finds it in March, she'll buy it. If you go into my closet, we got a freaking cardboard box that look like a freaking, whatever. Give me something big that comes in a cardboard box. And it's just full of stuff that Andine just throughout the year, boom, stashed it in there. Throughout the year, stashed it in there. And guess what? All of a sudden on Christmas Eve, when we're wrapping presents when the kids go to bed, I'm like, where the hell did all this shit come from? She goes, I bought that in February. I bought that one in July.
It's great.
Oh, we got that one in August. And I'm like, it's brilliant, because then we're not rushing around like every other person right now that's just starting or hasn't even started their Christmas shopping as of today, which is December 6th. You know what I mean? Which is insane to think about. The bank, I had a bank question for you.
Sure.
Now, I faintly remember growing up that my mother, when she worked part-time, they had like a Christmas club or something, Christmas Savers Club at the job. So they would take a little pinch of your paycheck. Do banks, and I don't know, I don't do it, but like, that's a thing, right? You can have a Christmas savings account or something.
Yeah. Yeah. They have Christmas clubs. I think some call them holiday clubs or holiday accounts. And they don't take it directly from your paycheck, but what you do is you open up a separate account, and each month you put in however much you want to put in. And it can be different every month. If 1 month you don't have it, you don't have to. It's not mandatory, but you put in throughout the year. So every month I put in the same amount of money from January to December, through December. And every October I get a check. Well, not a check. They just move the money from one account to my checking account. And the money that I saved goes there. So then I go to the bank and I take out that money and I bring it home. And Casey and I put it in the envelopes for the different people that we want to, buy something for or donate to. It all has its own envelope. And then Christmas is taken care of. And you could do the same thing. And that money, so when you look and you sit down this year and you plan it out, and you say, this is who we want to buy for. Put that on a note card, and then go to the bank and open up an account after the holidays and start your holiday savings account. And then every month it's a line item in your zero-based budget that we've talked about. And then every, whatever your bank does in October or November, you're going to get that money for Christmas, and you don't ever have to worry about it again, because you've planned for it for the year. Just like we've been saying, it's not an emergency. Christmas comes the same time every single year. It's December the 25th, all right? I know it's going to be December 25th next year, and I know it's going to be in 100 years. So just keep planning for it, and then it doesn't hit you. It doesn't hit the budget. And plan for the meals in there too. Throw an extra $20 a month in there for the holiday meal, and there you go. Christmas comes around, you got enough money to go buy whatever you need, and you don't have to worry about it. It's a great thing. You could do that you could do that for vacations. You could do that for sinking funds. You could open it up accounts at the bank for anything. Take advantage of it, because the worst thing you could do is leave it in your checking account and you're just going to spend it. It's going to go somewhere. So put it in a separate account, and it's building. And you can't take from it throughout the year. That's the nice thing. You can't see your holiday club sitting there and you can't be like, I need $100, and you pull $100 out. You can't do that. If you do that, it all comes out and the account closes. So that's how they kind of prevent you from doing that, which is great.
It's genius.
Yeah,
because think about it. Think about it. $100 a month. You start in January. $100 a month. You take it out in October. That's 10 months. That's $1,000. I hope you can afford Christmas on $1,000. And then you really, once you do it the first year, you never stop doing that. So then you get November and December the following year, and so now you got $1,200 in there the following year. And think about
exactly right.
I hope, unless you got 15 kids, I hope $1,000 can get your Christmas presents covered. You know what I mean? And you don't really notice it. It's $100, dude. It's $100 every month. It comes out. It's no different than filling up your car with gas. Thanks, Joe Biden, or whatever else you choose that costs $100.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Dave, that was good. That was good on budgets. What else you got? Anything else you want to put on budgets?
No, I think we're good on budgets. I think that gives everybody a good jumping off point. Just remember, don't use the credit card. Do yourself a favor. Don't use the credit card. I'm going to keep harping on it all the way till Christmas. Every episode, you can count on it. Yeah. Don't use the credit card. Use what you have. If you don't have enough money in the budget, you know what? Go pick up a second job. A couple years ago, we were struggling around the holidays, transitioning jobs. I went and picked up a job delivering packages for UPS. Mm-hmm. Okay. You can make extra money so that you don't have to dip into a credit card or dip into your emergency savings. So go do it. Get off your butt and take care of business.
And especially what minimum wages these days, depending on where you live, you can make $1,000 a month working very, very little extra. You know what I mean? Well, you're not going to lose sleep. You're not going to lose this, that, the other thing. You can pick up $1,000 a month real quick. So that's
no doubt about it.
The second job thing is good. Dave, I had a quick bonus topic. I just wanted to, I don't know. We were talking about it. I wanted to add to this. And we were talking about this the other day. And it was just this random thing. And we were talking about I don't know. It's totally random. So this has nothing to do with budget or anything like that. We were talking about whose phone book or Rolodex is the best. And I'm like, I don't even know how we got it up in conversation, but it just did. And we were like, oh, the president or this. And we put a couple names here, and I just want to start with like, who the hell has the greatest fucking cell phone, iPhone Rolodex? Like, who's got it? Like, who? I mean, we're athletes. We love athletes. But I mean, there's movie stars. There's politicians. You name it. There's anything and everything under the sun. Like, give me one name. Like, who the hell's got a good Rolodex that you'd like to look at?
I'd love to look at Peyton Manning. He's got to be great. I mean, he's got all his contacts in the NFL, right? I mean, he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. So, he's got Hall of Famers in there too, plus current players. He's funny as hell. He's got people from SNL. He's got probably executives across TV. I mean, actors, musicians. I mean,
NFL owners.
And he's funny. He's a down-to-earth, funny dude. Like, I would love to see Peyton Manning's Rolodex. That'd be awesome.
The other quarterback too. If we're talking Peyton Manning, I would love to see Tom Brady's. And the reason why is because his wife was a mega superstar too. So there's probably some former wife. There's probably some where they contacts merged from his wife's dealings. I think it would be pretty freaking cool.
I guess why I question that one is you never get to really see his personality much. So his outside life is never publicized. So it's like, well, I don't really know. Is he does he care about that kind of stuff or doesn't he? I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. He kind of has a vibe like a Tiger Woods vibe or a Michael Jordan vibe where they're just more secluded. Where you're right, Peyton's just this big freaking personality, that he's just like all over the place. You know what I mean? And then we were talking like, I bet you the president doesn't even have a personal cell phone. That would be my guess. You probably can't not. For security reasons, But even some of these top notch dudes, right? Like do they really have a cell phone that they get Verizon or AT&T and they just have a straight up normal cell phone? It doesn't even seem right. Doesn't even seem right to me.
I know. Yeah, it's kind of odd. I mean, I would say I think musicians probably would have the best. Like I think like before all this latest stuff that came out, Kanye West probably had a really good one.
Yeah.
Now I think, some of the latest stuff that came out, whatever you want to think about it. I mean, he's fallen off the face of the planet here, but before that, I mean, he probably had a really good one. Like people like Drake. I don't know. Like I feel like musicians, they're like in the mix on everything, so they probably got a pretty solid one. As much as I hate to, what's that?
No, go ahead. As much as you hate to say what?
As much as I hate to say his name because I just can't stand some of the other stuff he does. LeBron James probably got a ridiculous one.
Yeah, LeBron.
He's got the acting side, the sports. He's all over. Shaq, yeah, Shaq. I mean, they got to be really good.
I got one that I just came to the top of my mind that may take the cake.
What was that?
Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah,
he's got Elon Musk. I mean, he's got Tulsi Gabbard. He's got my favorite human alive. Cam Hanes is like his best friend. Like, if I could pick anybody, just give me Cam Hanes' phone number right now. He's probably got Goggins. I mean,
yeah. Oh, dude, for sure he does.
He's got some, dude. He even says in his podcast, "Quit being a bitch" when Goggins texts him randomly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
so great.
Jocko, dude. He's probably got some amazing contacts. Dude.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, Aaron Rodgers has been on his show. Like, I mean, he's probably
true. He's got incredible doctors and like.
We should get Peyton Manning on Rogan. We should advocate for that.
That'd be pretty awesome.
That would be hilarious because Peyton Manning for sure doesn't drink or smoke, and Rogan would be there hitting his weed and just drinking a whiskey, talking to Peyton Manning.
That'd be so good. Yeah, that'd be pretty good. I like that.
That would be wild. I mean, anyway, I'm just trying to think, man. We're doing this kind of ad-libbing here, but yeah, Joe Rogan, Peyton Manning. I mean, we're probably going to think of 100 other people that would be good. I mean, your guy
Magic Johnson would probably have a really good one.
Magic's probably good one. Your guy. For those that know, we're finance people too. Like, I bet you Dave Ramsey's got a hell of a Rolodex.
Yeah, probably.
Because he's got, dude. How about those country singers? Like Luke Bryan's got to have a hell of a Rolodex, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Tim McGraw. Tim McGraw and Faith Hill together. That's got to be a pretty good one.
Yeah, dude. That's a power couple.
Power couple who completely stays out of the spotlight and under the radar too. Until they went and made 18 what was it?
1883.
1883, which was a ridiculous show.
Which was
so good.
Really
Who knew they could act like that?
Well, don't forget, Tim McGraw's been an actor for a long time, though. He was like in Friday Night Lights, and I mean, he's a good actor.
But
and I can't believe you just mentioned Tim McGraw because with an awful segue, today's book recommendation is from Tim McGraw. And if you listen to country music or you don't, Tim McGraw is a very, very famous face. He's got a book. It's his newest book. It's called Tim McGraw, Grit and Grace. Train the mind, train the body, own your life. Grit and grace. Okay. For those of you that are country, I like country music. Dave, I know you like country music. Tim McGraw is a legend. He's an all-timer when it comes to country. But in those of you that don't know, Tim McGraw's father was a baseball pitcher for the Atlanta Braves named Bud McGraw. And a lot of people don't know that, but his dad, his biological father, was a major league pitcher, a very good baseball player. And not a lot of people knew that. And this book talks about, and I like it because it ties into being a full force father. He was drinking because it's really good because he explains the life of a musician, like a superstar musician on the road. It's just Groundhog's Day every day. New city, get up, prep the show, drink, do the show, party, and he had his breaking point. His father had died, his high school coach had died, and he had this breaking point about 10, 12 years ago now, where he just was drinking, he was spiraling out of control, he was digging himself into a bigger hole. And really what I got the most out of this book is what it proves is, just like a full force father, if you change one thing, everything else in your life gets better. And for him, it was his body first. By training his body to stop drinking, stop partying, start working out, taking care of his body, going outside every day, movement. He's a big proponent of movement, which you guys all know is my number one thing. Movement is always going to be number one for me. Movement and water are the two biggest things in the world for me. He completely transformed his life. He became a better musician. He became a much better father in here. He talks about how he was never there for his girls. He became a better father. He became a better husband. And it all started with one. And once he started getting better in physical shape, he trained his mind to get better, to get sharper. And it's really what it's all about, guys. It really ties into what we are here at Full Force Fathers, creating good habits, discipline. And this is a guy who now is was already a world-class musician, right? Mm-hmm. And then he became a world-class actor. And he had, I can't think of, and he always lived with that fear in the back of his mind, like, hey, I'm a nobody, small town country music singer from a little tiny town in Louisiana, and, imposter syndrome, you know what I mean? But when he took control of like one aspect, everything else went together. And it really is a good book. I mean, it's a good read. It's a quick read. There's a lot of workout stuff in there. So if you're looking for workout and you like Tim McGraw, dude, bam, that is exactly the book for you to read. But he gives you some mind tricks and some things like that, if a dude that's a bazillionaire who lives on the road can be in good shape and do all that stuff, then there's no reason why, nobody, any of us fathers out there that can't do it either,
No doubt about that. Great recommendation.
So Grit and Grace by Tim McGraw. Actually, I picked it up at the library is where I picked it up from. I don't own this book. But yeah, it's a good one. So anyways, guys, that's your Christmas budgeting episode with a little bonus. That's all I got for you today. Dave, what do you got?
Yeah, that's it. Get out there, make the budget, do it today, sit down, figure it out, and start working towards that. Again, we're not using credit cards. We're finding money in the budget to use for Christmas because it's not an emergency. So live the full force life, and we're going to talk to you real soon.